Hey folks, I want to put out a quick channel update. I think most of you know by now, but I've kind of drastically reduced the amount of videos that I'm doing. So I'll try and summarize it. I've been on holiday recently, so that's why there's been no videos for about a week, or a little bit longer than that, I think. But I'm trying to wind down doing the Let's Plays. Long Let's Plays are quite difficult for me to keep doing at the moment because I just don't get a chance to play games. I've been really, really busy at work. Basically, most of this year is going to be really busy for me at work. And I've taken on my own games development as something that I want to do now. Like, I've been planning on doing this for nearly a decade, I think, and it's finally starting to come to some fruition. I was waiting originally until I finished my degree, and that's done. And so now and then I got into Explorminate, and Explorminate thoroughly distracted me for about 4 or 5 years. And I've stepped back from Explorminate completely now. And I just want to take this opportunity to thank Rob and all the other staff at Explorminate for putting up with me for 5 years, basically, and, doing some collaboration, really, really cool collaboration. I did some cool articles for the site. I did a lot of content for the YouTube channel, including a 101 episode Shadow Empire series, which I'm really, really proud of. Like, that's one of the things that I did that I was really, really proud of. And and then the podcast, which was incredibly popular. Our podcast group that we were performing with was really, really popular. We had thousands and thousands of regular listeners, and I keep getting people asking me when I'm coming back. And unless Rob invites me back as a guest, I'm done now. That's it. I've had to step back, and the reason I've stepped back is because I want to get into my own games development. For those of you who watched the live stream recently, you'll see that I've actually taken on quite an unusual project, which is I've bought myself a Commander X16 computer, which is kind of like, it's like an 8-bit computer mixed with, with some modern components. So it's better, it performs better than an 8-bit computer, like like an Atari 2600 or an NES Famicom, one of those kind of machines, or a Commodore 64. It's kind of in that same sort of ballpark, but it's got a lot of modern stuff on it too. So it's a really fascinating project. And for somebody who's interested in programming like me, and somebody who is kind of a jack of all trades. I'm one of those people. I can do some art, I can do music, I can do sound design, I'm a programmer, I'm a writer. So basically I'm fully set up with the skills to be able to make my own video game. And I'm not at all enthusiastic about doing stuff for Steam. The reasons for this are quite complicated, and I'm still getting my thoughts together on this, but I might do a video on it at some point and say why it is that I'm not making a game for modern PCs, and why I'm actually limiting myself by making, what's probably going to be a series of games for this kind of new retro computer. But just in summary, it's an interesting challenge. Working around an 8-bit processor is really interesting. It will force me to be tight and consistent with my games development and my games design and resource management. And I find it a fascinating challenge. The other thing is the computer is really damn cool. So I'm going to do some videos of that thing soon, because I've actually got my Commander X16 now, the physical model. I'm not just using the emulator. For those of you who don't know what it is, go and Google it. It's really, really it's an interesting project. It's really interesting. And it's going to give me the opportunity to be able to, make my own games in, this environment where you're all going to be able to play them if you want to on a free emulator. You don't have to buy this kind of crazy computer. You'll be able to play it all on PC, on whether it's on Windows or Linux or Mac, using a emulator. And I will eventually potentially be able to sell it on Steam if I want to. But making games for Steam comes with a whole bunch of baggage attached, and I'm just not willing to take on that baggage. I want to be free to do whatever I like within this kind of crazy little world that I've sort of constrained myself into, and that is super exciting to me. So it's got me dead excited, and that's the reason why I've stepped back from Explorminate. What's the main reason? And it's the main reason why I haven't been doing any videos for a while either. So you can blame my boss at work, Brad Wardell, for this, because he was the one he was like, oh, you've been doing a little bit of stuff with assembly language. Hey, why don't you check out this new computer that's kind of came out last year? And he sent me a link to the Commander X16, and I was like, oh, I didn't know about that at all. So that's it, guys. Yeah, I am going to be I'm going to be putting out content here and there where I can. I don't want my channel to die. It's not going to die. I'm still getting regular views because there's loads and loads of videos on there. So, I'm still getting people watching catching up with all these series that I've done. I'm going to do my best to try and finish off some of the series that I've done. Most likely it's going to be the Shadow Empire series, because that's the most popular one that I've been doing. Kingdom Dungeon and Hero has come out now. I really like that game. Every time, it's being updated a lot though, and every time I try and start a series, I've like started 2 or 3 series now. I've not been able to complete it because the game gets updated. So I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with that. I might just try and record a short series and play it through. If my Aminon game save still works with the new version, I'll probably play some more of that too. But yeah, that game is out the door now, and it's doing really well for an indie game. It's selling really well. The developer seems really happy. I'm really pleased. It seems to be. It's a cool game, man. It's got some things that need tweaking, I'd say. It's not perfect, but it's a pretty damn good effort. As soon as I've started getting something that you can see in terms of the game that I'm developing, I have no idea, by the way, whether the channel that I've built up playing these long, complex strategy games is going to be interesting. You know, whether the stuff that I'm making for my new computer is going to be interesting at all for you guys. I think it will be, okay, because I'm basically going to be making some cool strategy games that are very modern in their games design, but with some retro aesthetics, let's just say. And I've been quite inspired by some other games of that kind of type recently, you know, where people have been working within the framework and the aesthetic of, you know, the sort of 80s, 90s and early 2000s, but infusing that kind of aesthetic and that framework with a modern games design sensibilities and, you know, 30 or 40 years worth of games design innovations. And I think that's a really, really exciting thing. I think at least it's exciting thing. It's an exciting thing to me. So you're not going to see, you know, like some kind of. I think people who might be expecting that I'd be trying to make something like Shadow Empire. That kind of game, right, is so complex that even for an extremely experienced developer to pull off a game like Shadow Empire to the quality that Shadow Empire is at is a 1 in a million, right? So you have no idea how good a designer and developer Vic Rikers is. He's just incredible. Like, you just do not get developers like that very often. Not solo developers. It's just, you know, he's like 1 in a million. I couldn't even dream of doing a game that good, right? And not for 10 years. Even if I worked for 10 years, I might dream to maybe one day before I die do a game that's kind of half as good as that. But I am going to aim high, okay? And I've got some cool ideas. So I think that some of the stuff that you're going to be seeing from me in terms of, you know, PC games that I'm going to be playing will be probably stuff that is going to be oriented towards inspiring what I'm doing, you know, in my own games development. Let me know what you think in the comments, by the way. I am going to still be doing Let's Plays, okay? So don't worry. Like, I'm not just abandoning what I'm doing, but I have intended to be doing more stuff. I also really wanted to do stuff like games reviews, but I realized that was a bad idea, and I've realized that because when I'm working all day making scripted videos that are quite hard work for me to do, you know, for my day job, then the last thing I kind of want to do when I'm relaxing, either at the weekend or when I knock off work at the end of the day, is to kind of go and do more of that. And I should have known that when I started talking about it, and I think I got a little bit excited. I'm not saying I'm not going to do any more scripted videos, but I'm not committing to doing them, okay? I had this idea of doing. I started doing a review for Scald, which is this kind of retro aesthetic CRPG, which is a cool game. But I realized that I got kind of halfway through it, and I realized my heart wasn't in it, and I don't think that's where, you know, I don't think I should be focusing on that. Anyway, I'll catch you next time, guys. Take care.